Hey everybody, Zach Bowler YGO back with an updated Lightsworn deck profile. You all seem to really enjoy the bestial version, so I thought I'd try something else and see if that also catches your interest. Let me know down below if this is something you want to see more of. Maybe I can do some combo hands and show you some of the bread and butter combos with this deck as well. This time we're going to be doing the Centur-Ion engine in Lightsworn, though. The cool thing about this is that it pivots the deck in a totally different direction. Instead of trying to win through pushing through hand traps and doing Omega loops with Dispatter and ending on number 38 with Appaloosa and IP, this time you're using Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity, the most fun and interactive card in the game right now, I'm sure, next to Gimmick Puppet. But you're using that as well as a wealth of level 12 synchros and just large bodies to push through what your opponent can do. Going first, you obviously try to go for the Calamity Lock, but going second, you can honestly just end games with cards like Axilla, Legatia, and Cosmic Blazar Dragon even. Like, these are just big bodies, and you have your Horus cards and stuff as well. So I really like this deck, and I think it has a lot of potential. We'll just jump right into it, and as always, if you have any questions, let me know down below. If you have any feedback as well, let me know down below. I'd love to hear it. I am really new to the Centur-Ion cards, so getting any help at all would be huge. But first and foremost, for our Lightsworn engine, of course, we have 3 Dragonling. This is the best one. It Foolish Burials any Lightsworn on special summon, and can be special summoned when you have a Lightsworn card engraved, which is obviously very Lightsworn monster specifically engraved. So you can't have Saber engraved and do that. That would be very bad. Then there's 3 Vice Lightsworn Archer. This is the other main monster of the deck. These are the Millers. You can special summon it by putting back a Lightsworn card from your hand to the top of your deck, and then special summon this and mill 2. What's really cool is that unbricks your hand for your 3 copies of Wolf Lightsworn Beast, as well as 2 copies of Felice Lightsworn Archer. Now, the reason why there's 3 and then 2 is because Felice is worse than Wolf in that Felice only works when sent by monster effect, and that is obviously going to be less beneficial because if you mill it off of charge or recharge, it won't work. Also, this deck has no problem getting to tuners because you have 5 right here, as well as Primera, but you want your non-tuners to be accessible as well. There's no Raiden this time, which is a usual mainstay of Lightsworn decks that I play. I like having 1 in there generally, and that was something I think when I played this deck on Saturday I really missed, was having the searchable normal summon tuner. So that's something to consider, although I guess in theory Primera was a searchable normal summonable tuner, just not as easily searchable. So that is something to consider. You could also play a Gareth if you wanted, but that seems really greedy to me, and as much as I enjoy milling a bunch of cards and drawing a whole bunch of cards, I feel like you kind of deviate from your focus of just trying to have those precision sends instead of just the randomized mills if you're playing Gareth. But that's it for the Lightsworn monsters, as well as the 1 Punishment Dragon that I'm playing in the deck. Now, this is the boss monster of choice, although I could definitely see playing Judgment Dragon, because Punishment Dragon gets a lot worse, actually, because you're not playing cards like Omega and Dispatter looping. You're not playing the Chaos Babies and the Chaos Space and all that, the banishing stuff. Punishment Dragon loses a lot of agency there in that you're not getting as easily to its summon condition. It's a lot harder to pull off, and also this deck needs a board wipe when going second, I've found a few times, so it might be better to try Judgment Dragon. I might try that tonight at locals, we'll see. I played this on Saturday and it didn't really come up that much, it was just more of a discard. Then for the supporting spells of the Lightsworn engine, you of course have 3 Charge of Light Brigade and 3 Solar Recharge. Now, I've seen a lot of discussion about whether Recharge or Allure of Darkness is better, or just not playing either one. I have found that playing Solar Recharge is beneficial in that it is a more efficient card because of Charge of Light Brigade being able to search out the discard target for it. Also, being able to see 4 cards into your deck instead of just 2, I found to be even more beneficial. And, you know, obviously loading your graveyard is really good. So I feel like you need to play Recharge if you're going to play a draw card. And with playing 5 bricks, for sure, you definitely want to play some draw power. Try to get through those as quickly as you can. I am still playing the Horus engine. In this version, it is especially important because of the levels being level 8, so you can easily make level 12 synchros. So you have the 3 Imseti Glory of Horus, the 1 Happy Guidance of Horus, and 3 King Sarcophagus. Now, I could see cutting King Sarcophagus to 2. That was something I considered, just to play more different engine cards, or maybe even more non-engine. But I found that the third one did come up a decent enough amount that I wanted to keep it in. Something to be considered, though, is to definitely cut it to 2. If you don't have these, you could still try to play the Centur-Ion engine. I think it's going to be a lot worse because you don't have the free level 8s to pair with it. However, if you want to play Lightsworn and you don't have the Horus cards, you want to try something different, definitely check out my Bestial version, the Chaos version, the more dragon-heavy one. I can go ahead and post a Dragon Lightsworn link deck list if you'd like. Let me know down below. If that gets enough traction, I'll go ahead and build that. And that one plays like Striker Dragon, Romulus, and you're actually more of a Dragon Link deck than a just like a milling deck. But these cards are really good. Obviously, being large bodies is beneficial. The removal from King Sarcophagus is really good. And with how many cards your opponent wants to negate, it's very hard to just hold Ash Blossom for Imseti. Or if you lead with Imseti and you have a ton of follow-up, then you're fine there. I like these cards a lot, though. Then I am playing, like I said, the Centur-Ion engine, and it is just a very small, compact engine in that it is 1 Centur-Ion Primera, 1 Trudea, 1 Gargoyle, 2, and 1 stand-up Centur-Ion. Although I had considered playing Wake Up Centur-Ion instead, that is something to consider. Wake Up Centur-Ion lets you special summon a token that is level 4 or 8, which is going to be very beneficial because you can obviously pair that with your tuners. I wanted this stand-up, though, as a way to get to any body instead of having this to go with just Primera. If you're unaware of how the Centur-Ion engine works in this deck, the key here is Primera. It is a tuner spellcaster, which is important for Selene, but it lets you search for any Centur-Ion card besides Primera. Generally, you'll search for stand-up Centur-Ion, and then stand-up can go ahead and place Trudea from your deck, and then you'll special summon the Trudea and activate Trudea's effect to put itself in Gargoyle down, and then you can go ahead and special summon the Gargoyle, and then synchro summon with these two into a level 12, and Gargoyle can go back to your hand. Now that's really important because that thins your deck by 4 cards off of just the Primera, and you can do that really easily off of just a Lightsworn effect, and I can show you all that if you'd like to see some combo videos with this. But it's also really cool because these are level 4 bodies for Minerva. They're great bodies for Link summons. Gargoyle is a Dark Dragon, which is important because of the Bestial Rebellion, which is the next part. So you contribute it for that at worst. Gargoyle can also be a level 4 or level 8, so it gives you flexibility. And stand-up, of course, allows you to make King Calamity on the opponent's turn if you want. Although you can always just do that with Crimson Dragon anyway. I just like having this small compact engine because, again, just resolving Vice, sending back Wolf, and then milling and special summoning and going into Minerva, that can go into this whole line by itself. So it's a very efficient, compact engine, and I like seeing that a lot because it gives the deck a lot of flexibility and agency that didn't have otherwise. And then, like I said, I am playing the Bestial, so you have 2 Lubellion, 1 Saronir, 1 Magnemite, 1 Druidus Worm, and 1 Branded Regained. Now, you could definitely make an argument for playing Baldrake as well. I personally enjoy playing Baldrake, although I found that it was getting less efficient as time went on, especially with this version of the deck. You're not going to get its effect to trigger as often. You might be wondering why there's only 2 Lubellion. It's because the Bestials aren't as important, and as long as you see any one of them, you're really going to be fine. It's just they're just there to be extenders. And they end up dead more often than not. I do side a second Druidus Worm, but Lubellion I found to be the worst offender of being a dead draw of the Bestials. And also, this deck is already really weak to Droll, so having a third copy of Lubellion to make your deck even weaker to Droll, and then having to decide, if I want to activate my Lubellion or activate my charge first, things like that, wasn't my favorite. It also just tended to be a redundant draw a lot of the times because you would see so much of your deck that having the third one didn't really matter. You really only played 3 to see it as much as you can, but if you're not focusing on the dragons, I don't think it's as important. Although being able to be a level 8 is very beneficial as well. And then for the non-engine, I play 3 Forbidden Droplets. I think this is the best non-engine in the game right now. The ability to board break against Snake Eye, Labyrinth, Tenpai is just so good. I think your deck at some point, in some way, needs to have Forbidden Droplet in it. 1 Call by the Grave for those random hand traps because your deck is a combo deck. 2 Triple Tactics Talents to go with the Call by the Grave. Again, just to combat those, really annoying hand traps, especially like if they draw and Lockbird, then you can Talents, look at their hand, rip a card. If they Ash, you can always draw 2. That's very beneficial. And then going second, it's a 5th board breaker, or 4th and 5th board breaker with the droplets, so it gives you a lot of flexibility there. And then I am playing Mudora and Keldo. I found that these in this deck are more important than in the hand loop version because you aren't recycling with Punishment Dragon quite as often. Obviously, if you can, that's great. If you can't, these can almost act as like a mini Punishment Dragon in that they can recycle your Centur-Ion cards if you need, or they can help to combat Snake Eyes Flamber's Dragon, which is I found to be the biggest problem that this deck can have. The Snake Eyes board itself isn't the problem, it's the follow-up that comes through the Flamber's Dragon. So being able to stop it with these cards, these 2 and Call by the Grave, is obviously very good. So that was the main deck. I believe it was 43 cards. For the extra deck, you have 1 Auxilla, 1 Centur-Ion Legatia, 1 Cosmic Blazar Dragon, Crimson Dragon, and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. These are your level 12s. These are the focus of the deck, as opposed to ending on like number 38, Appaloosa, IP, Dispatter, and Omega ripping for 2. You are literally looking to just lock them out of the game. If you're unaware of what any of these cards do, I'll go over them. Centur-Ion Auxilla can search for any Centur-Ion card on summon, and then in the end phase can place a Centur-Ion that's banished or in your grave in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. Legatia can draw a card and then destroy your opponent's monster with the highest attack, and then also place. So these are just really good extenders. Auxilla is actually how you go into your entire Centur-Ion line, because you can go Minerva, the Athenian Lightsworn, and then bring back Felice with its effect by sending it off of Minerva. And then you can Synchro Summon into Auxilla, because it's just a tuner and non-tuner, so it's generic. And then search, and you get to continue playing from there. So the Lightsworn cards literally can by themselves pivot into this whole engine, which is crazy. Cosmic Blazar Dragon is only able to be summoned by cheating it out with Crimson Dragon. And then what it does is you can banish it until the end phase to activate one of 3 effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can negate the activation and destroy it. If they would summon a monster, you can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy the monster or monsters. So if they like Pendulum Summon like 4, you can negate the whole Pendulum Summon, which is crazy. Or if they attack, you can negate the attack and end the battle phase. So it legitimately is a negate, a summon negate, and a battle fader in one. So it's really good into the Tenpai matchup. It's great into Snake Eyes. It's good into Labyrinth. This card is just crazy in general. And it's nice to finally get to play this card because I'm a big Yusei fan. Crimson Dragon, of course, is the way you're cheating out Cosmic Blazar and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. You target another Synchro, return Crimson Dragon to the extra deck, and summon a Dragon Synchro of that same level. So generally, on your turn, you'll summon Auxilla, then you'll summon Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon will summon Blazar Dragon, and then you can summon another Crimson Dragon pretty easily through your myriad of extenders. And then on their turn, you can use Crimson Dragon to summon Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. That is definitely a line. If you can't do all of that, generally you try to set up Appaloosa before you go into the Crimson Dragon, and then you can do the Crimson Dragon on their turn to summon King Calamity, and King Calamity just locks them out of activating cards or effects in the field for the turn. So then you get a chance to just OTK them because it's a 4,000 body for no reason. Then for the next 5, we have Bestial Dispatter, Chaos Angel, Minerva the Athenian Lightsworn, Minerva the Exalted Lightsworn, and Zombie Vampire. So these are a toolbox. These 5 don't necessarily get used the most often, besides Minerva. Dispatter and Chaos Angel are just there if you have the Bestials. They can help wall up, which is the main reason for Chaos Angel. Dispatter can help to extend and be a negation if your field is already crazy. Minerva, the Athenian Lightsworn in particular, is beneficial because it gets you into your entire Centur-Ion combo, and it can load the Banish Pile and the Graveyard, actually, for Judgment and Punishment Dragon, depending which one you play, or it can, help facilitate all of your zombie vampire lines and things like that, or your link summons through using your Horus cards, everything like that. Xyz Minerva doesn't really get summoned that often. She's really just there if your hand is really good and you're just looking to get even more advantage, or really bad and you need to get playing. So she's kind of just there as almost like an emergency button. And then the zombie vampire is there again just if your hand is pretty bad and you need to try to get into a play, or your hand is so insane and you need to free up zones and keep playing. And then I play 5 link monsters. There is Lina the Light Charmer, Lustrous, SP Little Knight, Selene, Appaloosa, and Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. These 5 all came up multiple times throughout the tournament for me, which is really cool. Lina is played Overdark because it can search out some of your Lightsworn cards, as well as being able to search out... I don't think it can search Primera, actually. Let me check. We're going to check live editing done cheap. It can't search out Primera, which would be crazy. But being able to search out your Lightsworn names is really good. It's also really beneficial in that Ghost Ogre and Effect Fielder are so popular right now that being able to take your opponent's cards is obviously really good. That came up a few times, actually, where I would Lina, take their Ogre or Veiler. If it's Ogre, you just leave it on the field because now you have an interruption. If it's Veiler, you can link into Selene with it. You can always link with Lina and anything into Selene, but that was really cool. SP Little Knight isn't the most necessary for the deck. Obviously, if you can't afford it and you have everything else for this deck, you can play Sky Striker, Ace Azalea. That's perfectly reasonable too, because you're basically only using lights and darks. Selene was used primarily to get back Primera. That was really some good alliteration. If you're comboing off and you mill your Primera, you can always just bring it back with Selene and then get to continue into your Centur-Ion combo that way. Appaloosa is just there to be an end piece, and Underworld Goddess was there primarily for the ability to break boards of decks like Pearly, or to be good into Snake Eye boards and things like that. The coolest thing about it, though, is that it actually makes your Labyrinth matchup a little bit better, because it can negate Big Welcome Labyrinth, and I found that was very good, because I had to play against a couple Labyrinth, and being able just to have a on-board way to negate the Big Welcome is really beneficial. Also, it can't be destroyed by Lovely, because Lovely doesn't target, and this can only be affected by cards that target it. So that is very good, and I highly recommend playing Underworld Goddess. The side deck, as it stands, it still needs a lot of work. Currently is 3 Lava Golems. This is, I think, the best board breaker right now as far as monsters go. Being able to just hit 2 bodies instead of 1, I think, is very valuable. This could even be the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode if you're really worried about hitting 3 bodies, although I have found that card never actually works out. Whereas Lava Golem only needing to hit 2, I think, is enough. Also, it's obviously good towards the end of the round. Then there's 1 Bestial Druid Worm, just to have a 4th out to the Puppet Lock. I figured between the 4 Bestials, the Call by the Grave, and the 3 Droplets, you should have enough, but never seems to always work out that way, so we'll see. Then there's 2 Twin Twisters and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. The reason for that is because I'm citing 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Now, the reason why I'm citing Evenly Matched is actually really specifically for two things. One is obviously against the runic stun decks and stuff like that. It gets a lot of utility. Although if you've been a long time viewer of the channel, you know I don't like Evenly Matched as a card. However, currently I think Evenly Matched got a lot better because of Snake Eye. And the reason I say that is because the average Snake Eye end board is number 38, IP, Flamberge, Appaloosa, and Field Spell. So they now have they have 3 monster negates, or 2 or 3 in the form of Appaloosa. They have an IP to go into SP, and that can get out Ash and Oak, which can get Poplar and can get you more follow-up and things like that. And they have the number 38 to protect it all. So what I have found that I can do is you can just simply normal summon a monster. They probably won't, I mean, if they're going to be, trying to make the most efficient play they can, they're going to wait. And then you try to go to battle phase and you attack the IP. Now, the reason for that is because they are going to use number 38 to switch the attack over to the number 38, killing your monster, protecting the IP, and they're going to look at you like you're a fool. However, what they did there was they now open themselves up to evenly matched because we're in the battle phase, so the IP can't be used. The Appaloosa is now useless. The number 38 is useless because they have nothing to stop the trap. So they literally now will have to keep 1 card, and either they lose out on the follow-up that the Flamberge can get them, they'll lose out on the negations the Appaloosa can give them, or they'll lose out on the negation that the number 38 can give them. All of that to say that the evenly matched plus normal summon is so powerful that because of the way that the Snake Eye board is set up, they actually are much more exploitable. And so I think evenly matched gets a lot of value because of that. And then for going first, I have 3 Dimensional Barrier, 1 copy of the Black Goat Laughs, and 1 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Now the reason for this is because generally going first, I side out of 3 Forbidden Droplets, and typically I'll side out of the Talents. I only really like Talents when I'm going second, games 2 and 3. So I wanted a 5th card, and that's where the Black Goat Laughs comes in. It's also just a really good card in general. Being able to stop Tenpai, being able to stop Snake Eye in, whatever way you feel is most beneficial is obviously very good. And I like that a lot. So that's why you see 1 and 1. It's just the 15th card. This could really be anything. A couple of cards that I was considering are Rise to Full Height and the Centur-Ion True Awakening. Now, there's also actually 2 more cards I was considering. Let me grab them real quick here. It was the Visas Amritara and the Manadium Reframing. These are all cards you could consider for the deck as well. Now, they all have their own purposes. These 2 obviously are counter traps, which are really great for your first turn setup. And again, because of the power of the Lightsworn engine, you can easily use Visas Amritara in that deck. And then if you have a non-tuner, you can literally, if you go Visas Amritara and you have an additional non-tuner, you can then just go into Auxilla and then pivot into your Centur-Ion plays, which is obviously going to be really easy to do. You can also go Minerva, Athenian, and then bring back Felice off of Vice and summon Wolf off of its effect if you do that, or however you want to do the Minerva. And then you can synchro into Amritara and then search for reframing that way. That's always an option as well. And then you have a level 8 tuner and a level 8 non-tuner, so all you need are bodies from there. And both of these are searchable. This is searchable through Primera. This is searchable through Amritara, which is really good. But Rise to Full Height is another card I was considering as a one-of just to mill. What it does is its graveyard effect is really what matters. And that you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 monster you control. Monsters your opponent controls cannot attack for the rest of this turn except to attack that monster. You can only activate 1 Rise to Full Height per turn. So the reason why that matters is because, let's say you mill this, and you have, let's just say, like, Minerva on the field, for example. You could banish the Rise to Full Height, target the Minerva, and once the Minerva dies, they can't attack again because they can't attack that Minerva. So that's a really good way to ensure that you get an additional turn versus Tenpai, if that is a matchup that you find that is a struggle for you. I also highly recommend looking into the Visas engine as well. I think that's really good. And if you have a way to search for field spells, that's even better, because you can always, try to go into synchro spellcasters and things like that. I just like that it is a tuner that's a level 8, and it's light, so it's got kind of everything you're looking for in the deck. But that is my Centur-Ion Lightsworn deck list so far. Let me know down below what you think. Let me know if you have any tips. This is a deck that I think I'm going to be trying to play for quite a while. And if you want to pick up any of the cards, like I said, make sure to use the affiliate link in the description below. A portion of that does help me out. And until next time, have a wonderful day.